Hi, my name is Leslie Lopedo. I'd like to welcome you to this WIP training video and thank you for volunteering to be a part of the debate team. We look forward to welcoming you to the debate room. In the first part of this video, we're going to go over some information about things that you need to have on your desktop so that you can function most effectively as a WIP and how to prepare your desktop before the debate starts. The four things that you'll need to have open begin with the Zoom window, not surprisingly, where you will see my face right now. You're going to want to have that open in gallery view, and you're also going to want to have the participants and the chat windows open. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can access those either under the More button if you don't see the actual links at the menu in the bottom of your screen. In the week before the debate, you're going to receive an email with a link to a folder that will contain several documents that you're going to need. The first one is what's called the debate details document, which is down in the lower left corner of my screen here. And you'll see this is the one for the April 15th debate. To get rid of the things that we don't need to look at, I'm going to switch the view to full screen, which will get rid of all of those menus. This document will contain a number of things that are very critical to have during the debate. The first is the resolution. The second is the link to your room under attendee link. And you need to know what your room number is and the name of your chair so that you can make sure you end up in the correct room. It will contain also a link to our debate team debrief after party, which we hope you'll attend. And looking further down, there'll be lists of the staffing for all the rooms, so you can see again who's on your team. And an important section, phrases for attendee WIPs. These are phrases that you are going to need to copy and paste into chat before the debate, into the waiting room, and during the debate. And generally, they will have to be pasted in several times to cover people who haven't yet arrived. And the easiest thing to do is to just select it on here, copy it, and then paste it directly into the chat. You will see also that a little further down, there are links to the evaluation form for the debate. The chair will request that to be pasted into the chat toward the end of the evening. The way that you need to do that is to right-click or two-finger click if you're using a Mac and copy the link URL. Then you'll be able to paste it into the chat as a working link. There's also a link to the Braver Angels membership page, since we want to definitely encourage people to join Braver Angels when they've come to a debate. Further down, you may see some notes that are pertinent to your room if your chair or one of your WIPs has put them in there. These are the notes for room 1 on the April 15th debate. They include things like a cheat sheet for some instructions, a WIP and Chair training guide, and also some of the specific assignments to particular WIPs, including the alphabetical distribution of debate participants to this individual WIPs. So that's also something that you'll need to know. The second document that will be in your folder is the WIP and Chair speaker tracking form. This is what we use to put the names of people who request to speak during the debate. So while you're interacting with them in the chat and they decide they want to speak, you'll enter their name under the appropriate either affirmative or negative, and a few notes about them, briefly what they are wanting to say, and perhaps something about their background if you think that it's important. You will also add in here the names of the two people who ask questions of those speakers when they're called on by the chair. The other document that you may need to have, or the other window that you may need to have, is a window to enable back-channel communication among the members of the team so that we don't have to use the main debate chat as our means of communicating with each other. If we have questions or something we need to get answered by the chair, we want a way to be able to do that without worrying about pasting it into the wrong section of the chat. So your Zoom WIP or your chair will open a window to the chat.org, which will set up a chat group with a password. And they will send you the link to that before the debate, usually in that 30-minute window when you've logged on before the debate starts. You click on that link and it will open the Leap Chat window for you. You can then verify your name and it will add you to this Leap Chat group. Many people, because real estate on your screens is so precious, choose to use a second screen or a tablet to put the Leap Chat window on, since it doesn't need to be directly connected to your debate screens. I usually get my desktop ready probably about 30 minutes before the time when we're due to log in, which is 30 minutes before the start time of the debate. That gives me enough time to make sure I've got everything set up and it works, and lets me start the debate a little more relaxed. We're going to follow this part of the film with a short mock debate that will show you something about what the flow of a debate is like, and also give you an idea of some of the essential things that you're going to need to be able to do as a web.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the pre-debate meeting. Thank you all so much for signing up to staff tonight. I think it'll be interesting and fun. So this is the pre-debate meeting where we're going to go over the basic plan and answer any questions anybody has about staffing. So thanks for joining. Leslie, take it away.
Hi, okay, so I'm gonna just review. Right now we have screen sharing set to host only, even though we probably won't screen share. The chat I am gonna set to start out for everyone publicly in case we want people to put in where they're from, which sometimes we will do. I'm gonna make all of the staff co-hosts right now so that you will be able to post and do any of the things that you'll need to do. And then I'm also going to ask the staff to rename themselves with an asterisk and your role. Gretchen, you will be handling participants whose first names are A to L, and I will be handling M to Z. So if you can all rename yourselves, and April, you will rename yourself, obviously, as Madam Chair. And make sure that you have the asterisk in there. Okay, everybody set? Great.
Oh, Leslie, the first speaker, Luke Phillips, is already in the waiting rooms.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and admit him and help him get renamed if he needs any help.
Okay.
I just want to remind you, keep your Zoom window in gallery view with the participants and the chat windows open. April, you want to handle questions by having people raise their electronic hands, is that right? And you will call on them?
Yeah, I prefer to call on them myself.
Yep. Okay, and we will use the Google Doc, correct, for speakers?
Yeah, my preference is that we put speakers in there, so anybody who gives a speech and then anybody you talk to who has something they want to give a speech about, so that I can pick from them. That would be really helpful. Questioners, I'm not, as a chair, I don't particularly care that we list those. We can if we want to, but it's not a big deal to me either way.
Okay.
Since I'm going to look at the list and call on them myself.
Okay, I am going to put right now into the chat the link for a Leap Chat window. So if any of the staff, that doesn't include you, Luke, since you don't have to be staff, any of the staff can copy that link and open the Leap Chat window, and that will be how we will communicate just among the staff as a back channel. So I don't want you to text into the main debate chat window, because sometimes that goes awry.
And Luke Phillips, if you could please rename yourself, do you know how to do that? Could you rename yourself by putting an asterisk in front of your name? What that will do is raise you to the top of the participants list, and that will help us. Thank
you. Okay, and April and Gretchen, do you have the shared Google Doc open in your window? I mean, on your screen. Okay,
I
great.
do, and I'm putting Mr. Phillips in as the first speaker.
Great. And just remember to hit enter after you type anything, because then I can see it.
Good point. And Gretchen, did you have a chance to paste the stuff into the waiting room?
I have it ready to go.
Okay. So let's do that. And then once that's done and we give people a second to look at that, you can, April, if you're ready.
We want to talk about, the only other thing is just tech support. So my impression is that we will generally send people to event help at ba.org, braverangels.org, is that right? As opposed to you guys doing it?
That's correct. If it's something simple, then we may take care of it directly, but otherwise we will have the event help email address posted into the chat.
Beautiful. And then, excuse me, I will watch the Leap chat for communication from you guys. So
Great.
For time or whatever.
Yeah, so Gretchen, if you will keep time and just mark the times up in the Leap chat, that would be great.
That'd be great. I can do that.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go.
Are we ready? I'll admit all. Here they come.
All right, welcome everyone to this evening's Braver Angels debate. We're so glad you're here, and I think it should be quite interesting tonight. The resolution for tonight's debate is resolved: transgender athletes should be allowed to play sports with their gender of identity. And many of you may have been here before, but just in case, we have a few simple rules. Most importantly, please address the chair. So ask questions by saying something like, "Madam Chair, the prior speaker said this. My question is X," rather than, you know, "Leslie, why do you think this?" That kind of thing. And so I also want to introduce our whips. We have two whips tonight they are basically the person you should talk to if you have any questions or need any help. First, we have Gretchen. Gretchen, if you would raise your hand, that'd be great. Yep. And then we have Leslie. Leslie, go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah, thanks, guys. And you'll notice that by their names, it says A through L for Gretchen. So if your first name starts with A through L, and you have a question or a concern or anything, chat to Gretchen. And then Leslie has M through Z. So if your name starts with M through Z, write to Leslie. And I think that's about it for now. And so I'm going to call this debate to order. And I'm looking for a speech in the affirmative. So if you would raise your hand. Yep. All right, Luke, you go first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as I was thinking about this resolution, I realized that gender and the way gender is perceived socially
Hi, everybody. We had some bad background noise, so I had to mute everyone. So I'd like to now ask the speaker and the chair to unmute themselves, and then the speaker can continue. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Luke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think gender has like both social and physical aspects to it, right? And when you think about it, most sports have social and physical aspects to them as well, right? And it seems to me that at least in a lot of sports and the way a lot of people engage in sports, there are as much a social thing as a physical thing, right? And so when you look at the majority of American transgender men and transgender women, they basically pass as men or women functionally, right? They act that way, they are perceived that way by a lot of people in the communities that they're in. And so to the degree that the social side of sports, right, is as important as the physical side of sports, and I think it's probably like this in a lot of team sports. I think it just makes a lot of prudential sense that transgender men who may have been born female but have transitioned into being men, it would make more sense for them to be on a men's soccer team than a women's soccer team for a lot of just like the social kinds of reasons, right? Now, when we talk about like what that means for individual sports and sports that are much more explicitly based and have their scoring systems.
All right, Mr. Phil, I'm going to ask you to wrap up. Last sentence.
Right. I think it may be different in individual sports that are based on metrics, but I am open to thinking on that. I don't know my full thoughts on that yet.
Okay, great. And are there questions for the speaker? Go ahead and raise your little Zoom hand if so. As a reminder, it's in your bottom bar. Yep. All right. Ellie, Ms. Sears, go ahead and unmute and ask your question to me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for Luke. Luke, I'm wondering what you think about what...
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to remind you to put it in third person. So, Madam Chair, I have a question for the prior speaker. What does he think? Go ahead.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I have a question for the speaker. What does he think will finally put this issue to bed? What does he believe is really at the heart of people's fears around having transgender athletes participate with their identified gender?
Great job.
I think that's a great question. To be honest, I don't think it really seems to be based on fear so much as it seems to be based on a sense of fairness. And I think the way a lot of people see it at a fairness level is that men and women are physiologically different on various levels. And so because of that, the reason we do men's and women's sports, it physiologically puts them at a fair level to compete against people in their own gender class, right? Now, for what it's worth, as a man who ran track and field and was usually slower than most of the women running track and field, I'm not entirely sure how biologically determined that is, and there's probably a social aspect. But I do think, like, in charitableness to most people who think that there should be a very strict separation, I think it's based on an idea of fairness rather than an idea that there's anything nefarious going on.
All right. And with that, the speaker is thanked. Jazz hands for Mr. Phillips. Well done. Very good. All right. I am now looking for a speaker in the negative. If you have a negative speech you'd like to give. Yep, looks like we've got some. Go ahead and raise your hand. Excellent. Stan. Mr. Levine, go ahead and unmute.
Yes, Madam Chair. I have very strong objections to this. I believe it gives males unfair physical advantage over females. Especially ones that were born.
I think. Okay, problem resolved. Go ahead, please continue.
So let me restate. I have strong objections to this. I believe that it gives male to female transgender people an unfair physical advantage over people who were born as women.
All right, thank you so much. And that having been a very fine speech, the speaker is thanked. And jazz hands for Mr. Levine. I would like to formally close our debate with a motion to adjourn. Would someone please raise your Zoom hand and say, I move we adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
Great. And with that, we are adjourned. Jazz hands once again for everybody's good work here. Yes, excellent. Excuse me. We are out of time. And so I just want to thank everyone for coming. I'm going to do a couple quick things to wrap up. First, we're going to talk about what you liked and what you learned from tonight's debate. And then I also want to invite everyone to fill out our evaluation form. And so one of the whips will be posting the link to that in the chat. And then additionally, we would love it if all of you joined the Bravery Angels family and became members with us. And so the link for that is also in the chat. It's our homepage, braveryangels.org. And hope to see you next time. Thanks so much and have a great evening, everyone. Yeah, jazz hands.